Great, that's great, Laura, well done.
Guys, I literally just realised, like, why am I dressed like a child? Like, I've literally got hair clips and I don't like my hair. It's just at that length where it doesn't look good in any way. You know what? I thought it was stylish and I'm not changing. So, yeah. I don't know if you guys can see a difference from my usual videos, but yeah, I'm using a camera now. I promised everyone that I'd get a camera at 100 subscribers. I didn't need to do that because it turns out my brother has a camera. I'm just kind of nervous about this new situation. Like, I'm used to speaking to an iPad where I can see myself, but now I'm literally just speaking to a lens. Just so you guys know, I'm not going to be like calling people out, so I'm not going to be specifically talking about anyone. If anyone feels like this is like them or they've been this type of friend to me, like, I'm going to be so careful about what I say. If anyone's offended, I'm sorry. I feel like this is a good topic for a video. I'm going to try and be as honest as I can without bitching. It's just kind of hypocritical for me to be like, yeah, I'm going to do this video on toxic friends and then just be like a complete cow. I definitely say that toxic friends, it's not specific to high school. I feel like it actually gets worse. Not when you go to uni, but when people get older. There will either be people who are toxic in high school but they grow out of it or whatever. But then there's like people that when they get older, they get confident in their ways and actually aren't super nice. They don't try anymore to pretend to be nice. I don't know if that makes sense. Does that make sense? How to identify a toxic friend. I wrote a list of this down. I really hope nobody thinks this is about them, but if the shoe fits, the shoe fits. There's no one specific that this is about. I'll put the website in here. I literally searched and this was the first thing that came up. So it came up with a list of 9 reasons. One of them was lots of drama. So I feel like for me this is like the main thing that I notice with toxic friends, because I'm just not a very argumentative person. If there's a lot of drama in one of my friendships, I always take that as a bad sign because I just do not care for drama. It really stresses me out. No matter who drama is with, it'll really upset me, so I try to avoid it at all costs. I will try and either ignore it or resolve it, but also it's hard when you don't want to be walked over, so I wouldn't do that either. So I feel like if there's lots of drama in a friendship, that for me that would be the first sign. 2, everything's about them. So this is a hard one. I feel like everything about them is not something that I've found in toxic friends. This isn't one that I've found trouble with. I find it quite easy to talk about myself. Maybe I'm the toxic friend, but I feel like I have a friend and everything is about them, then I'll know they're toxic because I usually find it so easy to talk about myself. Does that make friends? Does that make friends? Does that make sense? They put you down. Put you down. So oh, this is such a good one. So if you have friends or a friend that is constantly saying what you do isn't good, or like saying stuff in a way that can be not, so you can kind of trace it back and say, well, that's clearly aimed at me, if that makes sense. And if you did say that, they'd be like, that's not what I meant. For example, if you really like a certain type of music and say it's like, I don't know, some sort of niche type of music, and your friend's like,
I don't see why people try and be cool with their music taste and everything.
That might be a bad example, but I think that most people can relate. They'll know someone that like puts them down. It will be from a place of insecurity, so maybe they're actually jealous of what you're doing, or they're jealous of you being able to be yourself. They compete with you. Yeah, so obviously that's a sign. Competing with you would be like always trying to one-up you, always trying to do something better. They copy you. That kind of relates. Like if someone's competing with you, they have to try and be doing things the same. If you wouldn't be competing with someone unless they were kind of doing the same things as you. Like obviously it's different with like sports or something. You're obviously going to be competing, but if your friend's competing with you, either you have very little variety between your friends and they're really like you, or they've copied you. I don't know if I've had really a big issue with that. I think my pet peeve is being copied, but everyone says it should be flattering, but I struggle with that. Obsessively needy. If someone is obsessively needy, they'll always need you. The next one relates to this, jealous of other friends. Like they'll always need you to be there at all points. They'll need you to speak to them at all points. This is the one I find really difficult because I really hate texting. If someone was being obsessively needy, I find it really difficult to give them that attention because I just don't really enjoy it. Like I just don't like texting people loads. In lockdown I have been, obviously, because like that's the only socialisation we get in here. Like I have to. Obsessively needy is the one I found the toughest because it does make you feel kind of guilty when you cannot satisfy someone's every need. Something I find really difficult when I have friends as well and they're jealous of other friends, because I'm quite an independent person, so I have a lot of different friends and I just don't find it difficult when someone gets jealous. I'm a very extroverted person. I love hanging about with people. For me, if I have someone that's jealous of other friends, I find it really difficult to maintain a friendship. I feel like toxic's a really mean word. That's quite an extreme word to use, which is exactly why I'm saying that this wouldn't be aimed at anybody. Because my brother was like worried that I was going to be speaking about people. Toxic is a really strong word. I feel like toxic's too strong a word. Like, these can all be applied to like anyone. Like, I feel like these could apply to me. Okay, probably not. I hope to think not actually. I don't feel like this applies to me, but then again, like, maybe they do. Feel responsible for them. So this kind of relates to one of the questions that I got. It was feeling bad for distancing from those toxic friends. I feel like this is a really difficult one if you feel responsible, because I feel like with these type of friends, obviously you're not friends with someone for no reason. If you have a toxic friend, it'll be because you love them, do you know what I mean? Like, you like them, you really got along with them, that's how it kind of got to that stage. Otherwise, you wouldn't put up with it. I feel like distancing from toxic friends is definitely really difficult. I personally do feel guilty when I've had to do this in the past. I think the thing that you have to keep in mind is, like, if you're distancing yourself from these toxic people and you're feeling bad, you just have to remember that you don't get anything out of the friendship a lot of the time, and really the only thing that you're giving up is a weight on your life that these people need to like mature by themselves, and you're actually doing them a favour. Like, I feel like if someone's clinging on to you, you're definitely doing them more of a favour by saying like, this is too much, because it might teach them a lesson. Maybe not. We're not here to teach people lessons, you know, like, we've all made mistakes. That's what I always think if I'd had to distance myself from someone for these reasons, is it's definitely a weight off your chest, and positives kind of outweigh the negatives. Like, we're here for ourselves, and if someone's really that negative, you don't owe them anything just because they expect you to owe them something. Someone asked, how do you know if you've had a toxic friend? I feel like to know if you've had one in the past, you look back at times with them and you're glad that it's over. I have to add this in. There's one way that you know if somebody's a toxic friend, and it's like if you come back from spending time with them or stop messaging them, instead of feeling good after it, you feel drained. This is definitely such a big thing for me. If I've had someone in the past that I think I would classify as toxic, I would always feel like when I come back from hanging out with them, like, I don't really feel that good about myself. And normally with friends, like, I'd literally come back buzzing, like, I love it. But if you're an introverted person, like, who made you feel drained from hanging out with anyone, I've heard that a lot, that introverted people need time to recharge, so that one might not apply to introverted people. I feel like you'd be smart enough to know the difference between if you feel drained from hanging out with people or if you feel drained from hanging about with someone toxic. I feel like even if you're introverted, it'd be quite different. Erin said, am I toxic? Yes or no? Yes, obviously. And Meg asked that as well.
Obviously you're both toxic.
Like, it's just really tough being friends with you guys, because your toxicity really, you know, brings me down. So I really just don't appreciate that. Someone said, how do you resolve differing opinions with friends? I wouldn't really get into arguments about like politics, because I literally know nothing about politics and everyone would laugh at me. Plans, kind of things like that kind of thing. You need to just be open-minded. Also, sometimes it's actually really nice to see things from different people's point of view. It's actually really healthy to do things in a way that another person might prefer sometimes. If I'm in an argument with someone, let me think of my last argument. I literally haven't had an argument for about 6 months, maybe longer. Okay, I remember my last argument. The way to resolve that is just through good communication, because obviously if someone's done something wrong and you're like,
this is clearly so wrong,
How can they not see that?
usually the reason that they've done it will surprise you. I remember this specifically. Remember when I first moved to uni, I'd made a group of friends and I was really happy about it, and then I invited, this person won't watch my videos, so it's fine. I invited this person to a party to hang out with my friends and make new friends, and they started like in front of my new friends who they didn't know but I was really close to. They started talking really badly about me in front of the people and like kind of embarrassing me. On that night, like, I was really upset, and like they said stuff that was like quite upset me and that were like really embarrassing, because it was like things about the way I look that I wouldn't want other people to look at me and think. That night, I got over it. I knew that the reason they did that was because they wanted to feel like they were kind of part of it, if that makes sense. Like, they wanted to make friends and like be relatable, but they just did it in a weird way. I'm not friends with that person now. That's just like not a nice way to make friends, so my brain actually just doesn't work. I feel like though, even though I was really upset and I was like, why on earth would they do that? You kind of do realise why they did it in hindsight. I didn't actually argue with the person because I was really upset. Like, I didn't want people to know that I was insecure, so I didn't actually argue with them or pull them up. Now I would, I'd just be like, shut up. But like, since I'm my new friends, I didn't want to come across as like really like snappy. You can always see things from a different point of view, even if it comes across like really strange to you. I just got an email from YouTube saying congratulations on 100 subscribers. Thanks, YouTube. I literally love this question. Do you think toxic people can change? Would they be different if you let them back in your life? This is a difficult question, because in some ways attributes of being toxic can be from having a bad time in your life. So I definitely do think the less of these things can be rectified. Most of these reasons, most of these definitions of toxic come from being insecure. Being insecure is a thing that everyone goes through for different reasons. These things I definitely do feel like can be rectified, but I feel also like letting people that are toxic back into your life, even if they have changed, I personally wouldn't, because I think that if you've distanced yourself from someone in whatever situation, unless you live in like one hometown and that's where all your friends are from, I feel like you need to be away from people for long periods of time for them to really develop that kind of change. If you have a toxic friend, say in high school in like 5th year, and then they say they've changed for 6th year for whatever reason, you told them and why you didn't want to be friends with them, then it's really not been that long, and really did they have that much time to improve on their relationships and themselves. What I also want to mention, a really specific thing about toxic friends, is I feel like toxic friends is something so objective. They might only be to one person but not to another, because it really depends on so many little things about friendships. Would I let them back into my life? Personally, no. Because I feel like also people fall back into old routines so easily, so if you've had a friendship one way, even if they have changed, the foundations for the friendship are always going to be like similar to the beginning. But I think that's a really difficult thing to do. I'm not saying I wouldn't. Tell me what your opinions are on that, because I find that really interesting. How have I got rid of toxic friends? Someone asked that, like how have I specifically done it? For me, I would raise one of the issues without making it real, like I'd be really careful about how I word it, raise one of the things that was bothering me in a way that kind of showed how it was affecting me. Then I feel like I have before all at once stopped speaking to people. That's probably actually one of my biggest flaws. Like, I feel like with friendships, if I find it difficult, I will just cut people off, and I definitely say that's something I want to improve on. I don't think that's a good way to go about it, is to just completely cut people off, because you never really actually know reasons for things. I definitely think I have improved on that, and now I easier to communicate, like not communicate but like explain to people why something was happening, if that makes sense. I do think that's a selfish way for me to do it. Unless like you've got no way out, then you should just completely cut them off and stop speaking to them. I feel like that is actually a situation a lot of times, and I feel like I've felt like that before. It's the only way for me to do it, and that's why I did it. But I also think that a way to do it would be raising an issue that they can't argue back, like it's clear that they're the problem, and then that will kind of grow the thought in their brain and then just gradually drift. And always be kind, because if you're not being kind, then you're a big hypocrite, you know? Oh, I like this one. Do you think you have any toxic friends still? No, I really don't. I really don't think I do. I feel like if I had a toxic friend, I would be stressing the fuck out. Because I literally get so stressed out with stuff like that. As I said before, like I can't deal with drama, I can't deal with things like that. So no, I definitely don't. And I'm absolutely chilling in lockdown.
Hey, thanks for making it this far. This video was meant to be on high school as well, but I barely got any questions on it, and it's also already quite long, so I'm just keeping it to that. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, remember to give it a like and a subscribe. I hope everyone's staying safe during lockdown and isn't too bored.